your name and current occupation?
Okay ha. My name is Olivia Cantor, but my media byline is Libay Lansangan Cantor. So I'm a writer, I'm a women's rights and a queer rights advocate also here in the Philippines. I've been a long-time media practitioner. I've worked in television as a journalist on newspapers, and I also work as an infocom person in international NGOs. But currently, I am a freelance media literacy consultant, advocacy, and an advocacy filmmaker.
What are your current activities?
Well, right now, actually, I am involved in many things. Number one, since I am a writer, I write regularly for the Philippine Online Chronicle. So that's an online website, news portal, and I write a lot of analysis articles about LGBT life in the Philippines. It appears, my articles and my photographs appear at the Pinoy LGBT channel in that website. And then aside from that, I'm also working as a media literacy and a media production consultant for ISIS International Manila. That's an international women's rights NGO specializing in women's rights and media, and new media also. So right now I have a project with them. So I'm doing a video production, a documentary video production for them.
What is your field of specialty, or where do you specialize?
Basically, my field of specialty, I guess it's in writing. No? So basically, I've been a long-time scriptwriter for television, so for children's television to be exact. No? So because I'm also a child's rights advocate, and basically, I specialize in advocacy filmmaking. Now, what that means is I do video productions, whether audiovisual productions or documentary films, for different NGOs or groups that need videos or films or short films, documentaries that center on their advocacy, no? Regardless of whatever their advocacy is. It could be women's rights, child's rights. So I've done those videos, types of videos before, for labor rights and queer rights, stuff like that.
What projects did you already spearhead to promote gender equality and women empowerment?
Well, basically, I guess with the short documentaries that I've done before throughout my life, I've been doing a lot of media literacy type of works wherein you would have you would feature some you would feature some lectures or some interesting anecdotes or something like that in different kinds of films, no? So for instance, you would make gender sensitive films, or films that will educate people about gender sensitivity, queer rights, or women's rights. So I've done a handful of short documentaries of that manner. So I guess you could say that those are some things that I spearheaded. In terms of writing, I've also done actually a lot of articles or in magazines and newspapers that actually involve a lot of articles and analysis that has a feminist framework, no? So ibig sabihin, what that means is that whenever I write, I am very conscious to inculcate the rights that I carry in my life, my advocacy. So in terms of, I don't just write articles or movie reviews. I try to frame them in a feminist way, something like that, or a queer rights advocate way. So I guess you could say that those are some things that I have spearheaded that has that kind of gender, focus.
How would you define gender, and how is it different from sex?
Okay. To define gender, basically when we say gender, that's a social construct, no? So ibig sabihin, what that means is a social construct is something that is constructed by society, wherein if you were born with this kind of genitalia, they assign to you a gender. So the sex kasi, when we say sex, that's your biology speaking. That is that's pertaining to just your person, your anatomy, your genitalia, no, and stuff like that, no? So if you're born with a penis, automatically they assign you a gender, which is male, no? So that's the difference of gender and sex. When we say gender, it's assigned to us by society. Now, what is this that's assigned? So basically, when you're born with this kind of structure with sex, so if you're female, you have breasts and you have a reproductive system, then you're assigned to be a female, a woman, so the woman term is assigned to the female, so that's where the difference between sex and gender begins, and ganun din sa man, so it's the same with men. So with men, it's when you have a penis, they assign to you the role of a man. Okay, so that's basically how you differentiate gender and sex. Sex is biology. Gender is a societal construct. The society is the one who dictates to you, okay, what you will be. Okay? Now that's a problem for some people who were born with two. There are some people who are born, we call them intersex. They have two kinds of genitalia at the same time. Now, who will be the one deciding what kind of gender they will be when they grow up? So like a long time ago, we used to call that hermaphrodites. So if you're familiar with that term, but right now we call them intersex. So that means a person who's born with maybe a penis and a vagina. So now the parents sometimes decide, okay, we will assign you to be a man. So he will grow up as a man, but he has two genders or some reproductive organs, right? So these are the things that get assigned to us. So that's the difference.
What sectors of the society dictates the gender of a person? What?
Okay, that's a good question. So who dictates? Actually, we don't know. I don't know. So is it the parents? Is it the doctors who say na, okay, you have a son because he has a penis, so automatically, ganun ba yun? So we're not sure. Is it the church? We don't know, no? So basically, there's no real sector other than once you come out of your mother's womb and then they see that you have this genitalia, they automatically decide you're a boy, It's not, they don't say it's a small male. They don't say that. They say it's a boy, which is a small man. So that's it. So automatically, you get put in that kind of gender box when you're born. Now, where does it come from? It's from generations and generations of maybe being dictated upon. That if you have this genitalia, then you are this. If you have this, then you're that. So. I don't know where we could point that out, but I guess that's how society just tries to remain intact over the years or something.
What are your thoughts about gender mainstreaming? Should gender be mainstream?
Okay. Well, basically, the term gender mainstreaming is kind of tricky. The thing is, why do we have to mainstream it? It actually came from a long time ago, well, maybe recent, history, wherein a lot of things in society are not really highlighted in terms of, okay, what is the contribution of women in society? So that's why they labeled it as gender mainstreaming. But the thing is, I think I don't actually believe in the term because I don't think that it's proper to mainstream anything because it has to be there already, so it's not like a special person like, hey, come on, you can also participate in society, so we will mainstream you. No, I think that's wrong. I think gender is already mainstream. It should be there. It's just that it's being subdued. That's the problem. But that's just my opinion of the term gender mainstreaming. I kind of find it problematic.
Ang intindi ko kasi sa gender mainstreaming is yung parang mini-mainstream ng government yung mga gender activities tsaka mga advocacies.
Okay.
Ini-integrate nila sa projects ng government. Parang ganun yun. Mini-mainstream nila kumbaga.
Oo, yeah. No, you're correct, no? So the thing is kasi during the time that they're not very conscious of making programs in the government or wherever wherein they have to discuss women's issues, women's rights and stuff like that, they coined that term gender mainstreaming. So yeah, so it's kind of like it's in a way it's good because women get to participate and then women are given the chance the opportunities wherein, okay, for a certain percentage of the government's budget or something will be allotted to gender advocacy or gender development or, gender related projects. When they say gender, that pertains to women. No? So, but the thing is, maybe they're also leaving out the men. So that's the thing. Sometimes it also has to work together. Like for instance, when you talk about domestic violence, obviously that's a gender mainstreaming project, no? So like, okay, let's have a project about domestic violence, and we will call the women. But it's not just the women, who are involved in that. Who are involved in that? Of course, the men too, right? So sino ba yung nananapa, diba? Things like that. So so that's why sometimes there are certain sectors in the feminist society, women's movement, they say that gender mainstreaming is just like an excuse, It's kind of like an excuse to, have additional budget for some projects and stuff like that. But it appears like it's tokenism. Like, oh, okay, so we forgot to put women, so yeah, let's put them under gender. Why? Why do you have to even put them and, be reminded, like, you have to specialize something, you have to do something special for the women, So while it's good, you have women-centric projects, that's different. If you have women-centric projects or you have projects that will benefit women, that's different than gender mainstreaming, because basically, the term mainstreaming is problematic for me and for a lot of actually feminists also, because the thing is, they say, it's tokenism. So why don't you just, it has to be there already. That's the point. Whenever you plan anything, it always has to be like very consciously, women and men are there. Not just like a special budget or, it's tokenism, So that's kind of contentious. And sometimes actually right now, some people are actually questioning the term already. But when it appeared before, it was okay. It was really good because, wow, yay, that's great, finally, you're recognizing gender. That's really great. But then later on, we got to think about it now. Oh, wait a minute. It sounds like tokenism in some areas only, So hindi naman natin nilalahat. There are really some, gender advocates who say that okay, it's also good that they have some kind of project like that. But maybe they just have to change the term mainstreaming, I think.
What are your thoughts on gender stereotyping?
Okay, when you say gender stereotyping, what kind of stereotyping are you referring?
Stereotyping parang dominant males, subordinate female in the society, parang yun.
Okay, and your question is, what can I say about?
What are your thoughts on gender stereotyping?
Well, my thoughts on gender stereotyping is that I hope they don't exist. Period. Because the thing is, we should not even discriminate anybody based on how they look, based on how they present themselves, based on how they identify, based on how they, present themselves, more so with their gender, Like for instance, would you say na, whatever, this kind of job that's just for women, or this kind of job this just for men. Okay, fine, maybe there are certain qualifications, but that's different from being discriminated against because of your gender. For instance, okay, when we say, my mother is a cook, and because our cook is a woman because that's a woman's job. Is it? Is a cook a woman's job only? No, we have chefs, right? And they're male, So, but that's the thing. Why do you assign things, to certain genders only? No, that's wrong, and I think that's stereotyping based on because you're female or because you're a woman, you can only do this, do that. Because you're a man, you can only do this and that and that. There should be no limit to anything. The thing is, we have to look at people as humans. You're human, you can do this, you can do that. Not you're a woman, you're a man, you can do this, you cannot do that. So that's my hope. I hope gender stereotypes doesn't exist now. Or I hope the gender stereotypes get eradicated, like right now, eventually. So.
What are the roles of women in society?
Okay, medyo general yung tanong mo na yan, So, when you say roles of women, what do you mean? In terms of what?
What are the roles?
Okay. Sige, basically siguro, when I think about what are the roles of women, maybe we have to ask also, what are the roles of men? Now the thing is, now that in that sense I become existential. What are the roles of human beings on this planet? Why are we here? What is our purpose? What's our destiny? You know, what are we going to do about, I don't know, climate change? What are we going to do about poverty? It's just that we all have to work together in this planet anyway. So we do not have to differentiate gender. So when you ask me what are the roles of women in society, anything that they want, that's the thing. Because that's the same answer that you will get when you ask what are the roles of men. Basically, they're equal, and that is actually connected to having no gender stereotypes. Because anybody could, anybody could be a computer whiz, anybody could be a scientist. It doesn't matter regardless of gender. Basta, as long as you're a human being, you're serving the people and you're serving the planet, then you're okay.
Nandun din ma'am yung kasabihan na anything that a man can do, a woman can do. Parang ganun.
Yeah, basically, yeah. So basically, because we have to remove those gender divides, the man, the woman can do this, the man can do that. The man cannot do this, the woman cannot do that. We have to stop thinking about that and just start thinking that we are humans. That's it.
How are gender roles determined in society?
Okay, now that's a very tricky question. There are different kinds of societies, no? But basically, how are gender roles determined? Okay. How are gender roles determined in society? That's a tricky question because what kind of society, first and foremost, dictates upon a person? So like for instance, we're in the Philippines. They say we're a Catholic country, majority is Catholic, we're conservative, thou, I'm not sure that's true, in what sense, no? And then what else? So the thing is, and then our society is somewhat patriarchal. When we say patriarchal, that means the men are kind of privileged, and so women kind of become secondary in nature in terms of everything. So in terms of making decisions at home, in work, and stuff like that, everywhere. No? So the thing is, whatever society dictates upon us, sometimes people get acculturated, and we get to think, and sometimes we get to believe that these things that society dictates upon us, they're the ones that are true. For instance, when they say, in our society, women are bad drivers. When there's a traffic jam out there, we're sure that's a female driver or a woman driver. Why does it have to be like that? Why do we have to have that kind of, impositions on society that, if you're a bad driver, maybe you're a woman, siguro kasi, that's a traffic ganyan, no? Or, things like that. Or like, our government is so fucked up. Why? Because we have a woman president. No, it's, but the thing is, that's the sad reality of our country sometimes. So I'm just talking about Philippine society because we're very patriarchal. So that means, our society looks upon men as the main figure of the house, of the land, of whoever, that's the thing. So, so who determines it? Yeah, so it's sad. It's sad that society is the one that determines it, but it doesn't mean that we have to embrace it full on. That's why there are a lot of advocates who question those things, who try to defy society or who just try to inculcate change, like for instance in America, left and right, they've been having debates on marriage equality. When we say marriage equality, that's you're giving equal rights to gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, and queer couples to get married. Now why? Marriage is a universal right. Anybody who loves somebody could have that right. Now why are you imposing that only the straight ones can get married, the ones that are not straight cannot? Where does that come from? That's the thing. So you look at society, you look at our societies, is marriage equality permitted to us in this country? No. Why? Look at our society. So like, when are we going to have that kind of change? It's changing already in America, in Spain they already have it, Canada, New Zealand also, a lot of countries. There are actually 14 countries and counting that I can go to if I want to get married, if I'm a lesbian, but I cannot get married here in my own country.
What are the current gender Can you give examples of violence done against women in society and in households?
Wow. When we say violence against women, there are a lot. It just doesn't encompass the very obvious, meaning the physical abuse, right? So you have a husband, um, beating the hell out of a woman or a wife, ganyan. That's just not it. When we say violence against women, we also could pertain to, economic violence. What does that mean? You're not giving the women the proper venues or avenues wherein they could earn a decent living to live their lives. Like for instance, why are women being given a lower salary than men in the same job position, in the same company sometimes? That happens. So why is that? So that's kind of like, that's a form of economic violence, things like that. Like for instance, also, if you do not allow a woman to decide what to do with her body, that's also a form of violence. For instance, that's very contentious right now. Like, an issue is yung reproductive health, right? The RH bill, if you're familiar with that. Why is that very controversial and familiar? Because basically, that bill is trying to liberate, the decisions that a woman can make about her own body. I can do this. I can get I can get whatever, blah blah. And I don't need a man or my husband or my father's blessing or signature to do those things. But sadly, kasi we have some rules that are like that. And but the thing is, some of the men in our society are not really, or even the women, they think that the RH bill is wrong and stuff like that. But basically, it's also about liberation, So, so that's the thing. When you curtail the rights, any kind of rights, sexual rights, reproductive rights, economic rights, political rights, cultural rights, even, lahat tayo may rights, We all have these rights. If you curtail those rights against women, that is a form of violence, and that is wrong. Sadly, it kind of exists, So, yeah, we have cultural violence. Sometimes, what does that mean? Well, you're not giving the woman the free will or the enough participation to participate more in her culture, or if if a woman can get an artist sometimes, but you are limiting them, to create just this or just that, things like that. So, violence could have certain degrees. It's not just the obvious one.
Are women only the ones who get violated between the two sexes?
No. Everyone can get violated. Like I told you kanina, even men can get violated. They could get sexually harassed, they could get raped. It's not just because you don't have a vagina. You also have an opening somewhere in your body. If something is forced in a sexual nature, that's sexual violence, and that's rape. Men can also get hurt, beaten by whoever, So yeah, so violence is, sadly violence exists, and both men and women are subjected to that. So,
What is the role of media in our society in terms of gender equality and development?
well, I'm hoping that media in our society would play the role of informing properly everyone about what should be the proper gender relations in society, in terms of being humanist about their approach in terms of portraying women, not just portraying women as victims or portraying women as subjects or objects to be desired, to be sexually objectified, things like that. Media is very guilty of doing a lot of things like that. That's why we have that concept of the male gaze in cinema, wherein the camera is biased towards men. So that means the automatic assumption of the male gaze is that whoever's behind the camera is male. And so whatever it is that the male is shooting, that is the male gaze. So if he is shooting a woman, what will he focus on? The woman has to be beautiful, has to be desirable, so that's the male gaze, how men look at women. Also, that's sometimes the predominant thing about cinema sometimes, so we have those things, so sadly those things still exist, but happily they are also being questioned by a lot of maybe more gender sensitive or more gender aware filmmakers or media practitioners who do not really subscribe to having just the male gaze, just having a gaze where people could look at it, because sometimes when you frame things, they're very gendered, and you have to be careful about those kinds of framing. So, and also media portrayals of women, diba? So for instance, there are always in teleseries crying, or stuff like that. Where are the men? So those are the things of how are men portrayed. For instance, in the news, so it's different. All kinds of media, they're very guilty of objectifying women. But also, I'm really happy also that there are certain media outlets and media practitioners who are trying to up the ante in terms of gender sensitivity. So sometimes you see a lot of TV commercials right now, wherein they portray kind of like the women are not really subject to all of those things in terms of the male gaze. So kumbaga, what I'm saying is that times are changing, and I'm happy that most of media are changing along with that. So that means they're being humanist in terms of how they portray women and men right now. So of course, sadly, it's not true for all media, but at least there's some media who are trying to have that kind of gender sensitivity outlook. So yeah, so basically their role should be just to uplift the human spirit, or show us whatever it is that needs to be shown in terms of gender relations, in terms of how genders are, not just to glorify one gender and to subject another gender in a lower rung than the other one. No hierarchies. So those are the things that I'm hoping media would do more.
How can media help in promoting gender equality, women empowerment, and women's rights?
Well, there are a lot of ways. Basically, you also have to look at who owns the media, because sometimes it's the owners who are the gatekeepers. So meaning, if your boss is a male, and you have to look at how that male also thinks. If he's a man and he's the kind of man who's not gender sensitive, we have a big problem. For instance, you have a television station, and and there are a lot of shows that are centered on women's rights, or you have strong female characters, and when you present it to that big boss who's a man, sometimes he wouldn't like that. Why? Because we're the men, or he would ask you should have some kind of leading man there. Why is there only a woman or something? It depends on how they look at things. Sometimes they are the gatekeepers, these media gatekeepers, and that's very dangerous. If the gatekeepers are not gender friendly or gender sensitive, then we have a problem with all the products that they're going to make. So that's the thing. They have to be careful about that. So maybe we could have more media outlets that are run by women. But also, another thing, it's not automatic that if a woman runs a media outlet, then automatically there's gender sensitivity. Sometimes women also think in a sexist way. Yes, so that's kind of like scary, right? So that's why, again, we have to go to the bottom line, just being human, regardless if you're a man or a woman, whoever they are, they should be conscious always of presenting all genders, in an equal light. No one is there should be no hierarchy in terms of the genders. There should be no discrimination in terms of gender identities and expressions, and all of those things. So the thing is, they also have to give a chance to those kinds of shows, TV programs, films that express all of the things that are not really, or we're not seeing every day. Because what are we seeing every day? We're always seeing the woman as kawawa, the woman as subservient, docile housewife, whatever. Or if she is a strong-willed woman, she's not lucky in love, so you have to choose career or family, you don't have to choose those things, so that's the thing. So media should be able to give that kind of chance, to be run by people who are more gender sensitive, gender fair. So that's the thing. It always should have our media should always have this kind of gender justice. We call it gender justice because that's kind of like connected to social justice. You emancipate the whole society when you have that kind of social justice. No there's no discrimination against anybody, rich or poor. No discrimination against looks, or if you're able-bodied or you're disabled or not able. Things like that. Everyone should have the chance to work in the media, to be exposed to the media, to have themselves truly reflected in the media. So that should be the bottom line. Whoever you are, not just because you're a woman or a man. No privileges.
How does media influence the mindset of society when it comes to gender stereotyping, gender relations, gender constructs, and gender constructs?
How does the media influence?
The mindset of society.
Oh, that's actually a whole course of discourse in itself. Basically, let's face it, we're all media consumers. The moment you wake up, what do you get and what do you check? Your cell phone, media. You're always online. You check Twitter, you check your email, whatever. That's already media in your hands, okay? You go out, you prepare for your day, you hear the radio in the background, that's your media. We're a very media saturated country. Okay? And when we say media saturated, everywhere you go, you have media around you, right? Walang takas. Wala tayong takas sa media. Now, what do we do about that? We have to be very conscious in our media consumption. Because that's the thing. We eat media, it feeds us. Literally, well, of course not literally that we feed us. It feeds us a lot of information, in terms of, we are all media consumers, so day in and day out, we're very exposed to whatever it is on the billboard, whatever we see in the movies, on television, we hear on the radio, even the songs that we download, what are the songs that they're singing about, your favorite artists. Everywhere you log on to the internet, there is another kind of media there. We're all media consumers. Now the thing is, my question to you is, how do you eat healthy? How do you eat healthily? Okay? So how can you be a healthy media consumer? So the thing is, not everything that media feeds us, we pick up and we consume. We also have to be selective in terms of our media consumption. Because the thing is, not all media messages are to be consumed or to be just swallowed without thinking about it. That's why we have to be critical always about media. So this is where media literacy comes in. So that's what media literacy means. You have to be literate about what these messages are saying. Like for instance, if your favorite singer, or I don't know, maybe is a hip-hop artist, but the hip-hop artist, he's cool, he has nice songs, his beats are danceable, but what are the messages that he's saying? So mamaya, in the songs pala, he's saying na, oh no, it's okay, to slap my bitch when whatever. Dude, it's all cool, it's nice, it's whatever, bling bling, but the messages that gets here. So when it gets here, it gets here. That's dangerous, no? So the thing is, we're consuming things. Just like we're eating healthy, no? So you have to also have a healthy media, serving. So that's the thing. You have to be careful about what you consume. It's not because it's a product of Hollywood. You just swallow it, hook, line, and sinker, and things like that. You have to be careful because a lot of the messages that they're crafting, they're very gendered also. That's the thing. Also, and again, this is where media literacy comes in. You have to learn how they frame men, how they frame women. So is it fair? Diba? So is it very acceptable to you? Like for instance, like for instance, there's this show right now, My Husband's Lover, and then the thing is, it's about two gay guys who are in love, and then they were having a fight. They beat up each other, and then after that, they cuddle each other. Oh, I'm sorry, but that's the thing, that what are these messages showing us? Yes, they may be true to life. Yes, they may be showing us the real side of, gender relations when it comes to men-to-men relationships. But the thing is, you're also telling people that, hey, maybe gays or most gays are, okay with being beaten up or having domestic violence in their house. And then after that, you just say, oh, I'm sorry, baby, ganyan, that's dangerous, So that's the thing. You have to be careful about the messages that you put in your media products, and we as consumers, we have to be careful about reading these products and eating them up. That's the point. With media literacy, you do not eat. You do not eat directly. So you have to be careful about those kinds of media consumption. So you have to guard yourself talaga against that. And yeah, it might sound tedious, but the thing is, you just have to go back to the basics. What do you believe in? If you believe in human rights, if you believe in people having equality, and then if you see inequality being glorified in the media, of course you just reject it outright, right? So that's the thing. You just have to be conscious about being human, that's all. And then you have to look at how media is portraying us humans. And then how are they portraying us as gendered humans, So that's the thing. So it's just that simple actually. You just have to be careful about what you consume as a media consumer, because every day we get fed a lot of messages, every day, either blatantly or sometimes subliminally, you don't even know. So that's why you have to be careful about those things. And of course, we have to be conscious. Of course, that's our health, right? So,
How does media... One last question ako. What is your advice to current and future multimedia practitioners as they produce multimedia products in the context of gender sensitivity?
Well, basically, in terms of gender sensitivity, future multimedia practitioners should just be aware, to be more open and maybe perhaps more aware of what they're shooting, because they have to be careful about, where they place their cameras or how they would frame somebody, or, because the thing is, that's the thing. Sometimes we see more, sometimes the camera sees more than what we see, and then sometimes you have to be conscious about how people would see what the camera is seeing as well. Sometimes we just, okay, go like this, go like that, just shoot, and without even thinking about some consequences, But the thing is, you have to be aware of the things that are happening in your audiovisual medium, So there's so that's also again automatic. There's two levels there, So one is the audio, whatever it is that we're hearing, right? And then there's a video, whatever it is that we're seeing, So we have to be careful about how those things clash or mesh together, So that's one. And in terms of clashing and meshing, and then also how you frame how you frame things, basically, because that's very important. Like, for instance, if you're shooting a woman, how would you shoot them? Eye level ba? Or, if you're always up there and then looking down, then that will have that kind of psychological effect, to people who are going to watch your film or your video. Because whenever you shoot somebody looking down, it's like, you're looking down at them like this.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so that's the thing. And then when you're shooting somebody, you're looking up like that, it's just a matter of looking up, down, or sideways or whatever. Sometimes that means a lot, and sometimes some audiovisual practitioners are not aware of that. So like how you frame women or how you frame men. For instance, like for instance, there are two persons there, and then you have like a bias, we call it yung parang saan ka naka-factor, So ang factor natin nasa guy. So when we say factor nasa guy, ibig sabihin, you're focusing more on the guy, and then the girl is somewhere na lang, very small, So I don't know, something like that. It depends also on the shot or whatever the intention of your video is. But you have to be careful about how you frame things, Like for instance, is there like a balance or imbalance? So sometimes kasi whatever we see on the conscious level, that's very obvious, but then there's another layer that's the subconscious happening, So the subconscious is telling us like, why is this shot not working for me? Maybe it's because you're framing the woman like this, and then you're looking at them like that. So whenever the camera tilts down like that, what does that mean? it's like you're looking down on the women, and then the woman is just like, oh yeah, talking like that. So parang kawawa, you know. So that's the thing. So you have to remember that your camera is your body, that camera is your head, that lens is your eye. So how are you going to deal with that, no? Those are some basic things. No? You have to be aware of how you place your camera, because sometimes there could be gender nuances or even power relations. That's the thing. Kasi the power relations in terms of how you frame your shots, they're actually connected sometimes to gender relations. No? Like for instance, yeah, why is the man glorified this way? Why is the woman shot that way? Mukhang kawawa, you know, things like that. So you have to be careful about those things. So first of all, that's my advice. You have to really be aware, and the thing is, practice. You know, try to look at why this shot works for you and why this shot doesn't work. No, like think about it like, oh, why do I feel like I'm being oppressed? I'm a man or something, you know, or I'm a woman. Why do I feel uneasy when I'm watching this, you know, this show or this, you know, video or something like that? So because it's also the way, you know, the filmmaker is framing it. You know? So you have to really be careful when you're a filmmaker. It's not just, okay, tara, shoot, pak, okay, camera, pak. No, it's not that simple. No? So that's why there are a lot of people sometimes who do not study those kinds of, you know, things. So we call it semiotics. No? So in film, there's semiotics. So sometimes if you don't look at, sometimes kasi semiotics is about symbolism. And then, you know, so those are the things, like for instance, if it's just this simple, like, you know, you have a man and a woman, you're interviewing them, and the man happens to wear white, what does that give you? What does that say to you? Like the guy is good, benevolent, ganyan. And then you have this woman who's like wearing something like silky red, ganyan. What does that mean? Oh, she's sexy, ganyan. Is that your intention? You know, so sometimes colors, everything, you know, everything, you have to really be aware of what you're shooting and what your camera is really taking. You know, so sometimes kasi that really gives a whole bunch of different kinds of readings out there. So that's why when you read film, you know, because that's the thing, you also read visuals, you know, and then there's another thing, the things pa we're hearing, kasi nga audio visual, no? So yeah, so basically it's multimedia. When you say multimedia, there will be multi-meanings also that we're going to get. So you have to be aware of all the meanings that you are embedding. Because that's the thing, you know, you as a filmmaker, a practitioner, multimedia practitioner, you are embedding a lot of, whether you're conscious or unconscious of it, you're embedding a lot of messages in your production. Now, when you're embedding them, you're encoding them, right? So you're shooting this, you're shooting that, ganyan, ganyan. And then when it gets reversed now, where I'm going, the people, your audience, will be watching those multimedia products, right? So the thing is, how are they going to decode what you encoded? So basically, multimedia products and all media in general, it's a matter of decoding that which was encoded, you know. So ngayon, you have to ask that, did the message that you encoded, is it the same that I decoded? No, maybe you're saying, no, I'm encoded in that multimedia product that, okay, women should be equal, pa. And then when I watched it, that's not what I got. So there's a disjunct right there, you know. So you have to make sure that whatever it is that you're encoding, that's the one I will get. You know, and that's why you have to really study your craft, and you know, you have to learn all those things and be careful about how you frame those messages very well. No? It's kind of like cooking, you know. It's kind of like cooking. Like for instance, you know that you're cooking adobo. I know that I'm going to eat the adobo that you cook for me. But the thing is, you put some kind of ingredients and you mix it like maybe wrong, and then when I ate it, it was like, I know this should be adobo, but there's something wrong. It's so salty, or I don't know, whatever, no. So, but then no, it shouldn't be salty, ganyan. And then, but when I tasted it, it tastes like a fritada, maybe, you know. So it's kind of like, what happened? I don't know. It's the way you cooked it. That's the thing. You have to learn how to cook properly.
Mga ingredients na nilagay.
Yes, exactly. So how did you put your ingredients? Maybe ito muna, this one, this is the last, or maybe you didn't put enough of this, maybe you shouldn't put that, ganyan. That's the thing. It's the same thing, you know. So that's also, you know, to continue the analogy of media consuming. It's kind of like that. So how am I gonna eat that product? Are you sure that you're feeding me the right thing? That's the thing. If I'm not tasting the right thing from you, then we have a problem. So that's the thing. Yun. So you have to be careful about the messages that you're encoding, the way you're encoding your messages, and then of course you have to be open-minded as well about feedback. If I say your adobo tastes like afritada, you shouldn't get hurt. You have to go back to where you cooked it and say, okay, what did I do wrong? What's the problem? Okay, maybe I can do better next time. You should not reject feedback outright, because that is how you grow as a multimedia practitioner, as a multimedia artist, as a human. You have to have an open mind and an open heart to understand feedback, because sometimes in our culture we reject criticism. Like, yeah, you're just saying that, you didn't understand my film, whatever. Basta, I know I'm good, I'm great. No, you shouldn't be like that, because you won't grow as a human being. And then, when you stagnate as a human being, then you're not human anymore. So we have to always constantly grow, learn, be open-minded, things like that. So that's why you have to learn how to take constructive criticism as well.